Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everybody. We're always excited to uncover some of the latest and greatest AI tools out there.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of latest and greatest,
Right.
over at AIagentstore.ai, we've been seeing a lot of buzz around this new tool,
Mm,
and it's called Amazon's Nova Act. So we figured it would be a good one to deep dive into today.
yeah, it seems like every week there's something new that comes out, and this one is especially interesting
Right.
because we're talking about an AI agent that can handle tasks right there in your web browser.
Yeah.
So think about, potentially saving all kinds of time and boosting your productivity. You're really getting things done.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we're all looking for ways to do.
Right.
So
Well,
so
let's break it down. What is Nova Act really capable of?
Yeah, so at its core, it's an AI agent developed by Amazon, and it operates directly within your web browser,
Okay.
and it's designed for autonomy. So from what we've been seeing in the sources, it looks like it can do things like conduct web searches, the typical search engine things,
Yeah.
make purchases online, even schedule tasks for you. And what's really interesting is that it can follow very specific instructions, like say you're making a purchase. It can even be told to ignore promotional offers and things like that.
So it's really about giving it the parameters and letting it kind of run.
Exactly, yeah. And it can do this autonomously, and that leads to a really important question. Who is this actually for?
Yeah.
I mean, who is this designed to really help out the most?
Right.
And what we found was that initially it was released as a research preview for developers.
Okay.
So we're thinking, coders, programmers, and the like.
Mhm.
But it's also been integrated into Alexa Plus. So that tells you that they're aiming for a more mainstream audience.
Right.
And the information that we've gathered indicates that Amazon is really looking at professions such as developers, business professionals,
Right.
researchers, e-commerce managers, basically anyone who's looking to really boost their productivity. And I mean, who isn't these days, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
So, thinking about some more of the practical applications, the day-to-day stuff,
Right.
because I think that's really what people are interested in.
Yeah.
You're talking about online shopping. It could automate the entire purchase process.
Yeah. That's a big one. Imagine setting your criteria for what you're looking for, having this agent actually find the best option for you, go through and complete the entire transaction. I mean, that's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah. Just a huge time saver. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that it highlights on the website,
Hmm.
it's capable of scheduling tasks and managing your calendar through web interfaces. I mean,
Oh,
that's something I think a lot of busy professionals are going to be really interested in.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and this really sort of brings us to that next question. Just how independent is Nova Act? I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about all these things it can do, but how much can it actually operate on its own?
Right. Yeah. That's a really important distinction.
Yeah. And from the details that we were able to gather, it looks like it has an autonomy level of about 64%.
Okay.
Which means that it can definitely execute these predefined steps,
Yeah.
filling out forms, navigating websites, like we said.
Right.
But it really relies on the users themselves to take those larger tasks and break them down into these smaller steps.
Okay. So there's still a human element there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not fully hands-off.
Exactly. And plus, it has these sort of built-in safeguards
Hmm?
that require human confirmation at certain points in the process. So you can't just let it go wild.
Gotcha.
But it can handle a significant portion of the online work. I think that's really what's fascinating about this, and what makes it stand out is, Amazon is actively developing these AI agents
Yeah.
that can take these independent actions. It really feels like a step forward in how we interact with the web.
Totally. So for anyone listening
Yeah.
who is interested in, really getting their hands on this and trying it out,
Yeah.
what do they need to know about, the pricing or how to access it?
Sure. So from what we see right now, Nova Act is actually offered under a free pricing model,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty great,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah. But it is a closed source technology, so just keep that in mind
Okay.
if that's important to you. And we also see that it's gaining traction in industries like software development, which makes sense,
Yeah.
business automation,
Mhm.
and e-commerce. So that gives you a sense of its relevance right now and how it's being used in the real world.
Totally. Totally. So we've covered a lot of ground here,
Yeah, we have.
but just to recap for everybody listening today,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways that we really want to leave people with about Nova Act?
Well, I think it's a tangible example of how AI agents are becoming increasingly capable of automating these tasks within web browsers. And I think it presents real possibilities for streamlining those online activities.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that in its current stage of development, it does still need those human-defined steps
Right.
to really function to its fullest potential.
Right. It's a great starting point and definitely something to keep our eyes on as these things progress.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for our deep dive today on Amazon's Nova Act.
It does.
But before we go, we want to leave you with a thought to consider. As these AI agents become more and more sophisticated, what kind of routine online tasks do you see yourself delegating in the future? And what factors are going to make you feel comfortable handing those things over to an AI?
It's a good question to ask yourself.
It is. It is. And as always, if you want to learn more about other exciting AI agent technologies, be sure to visit aiagentstore.ai. Thanks for joining us today.